Hey guys, this is Chauncey from Good Music to Know, and today I'm joined by Velvet Daydream, a Denver-based band fusing psych rock, blues, and classic 70s energy into a sound that feels both vintage and fiercely alive. From their self-titled 2003 album to last year's Leave You There, Blackberry Jam, they've carved out a space of unmistakable grit and stories that feel both raw and cinematic. And now in 2026, they're back with an electric and bold new single called Love, and we're super stoked to have them here. So welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us. We appreciate you.
Yeah, of course. So I know your music has been compared to like the spirit of 70s rock, from the soaring vocals to like the psychedelic grooves and the bluesy guitar solos. So what do you see as the core sonic identity of Velvet Dream?
I think that's a tough question. I think the core is constantly changing. I mean, we strive for a classic rock identity in our recordings and our live shows. We like to do a lot of live recordings. If we're going to play on a song in the studio, we're going to play it live. We're not going to go track by track. We're going to play it like you hear it live. We really take a lot of pride in adding that raw authenticity. We want bleed, in the microphones. We want it to sound real. We want it to have this raw energy and emotion. I would say that's our basis, but as far as songwriting, we can kind of go anywhere we want to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really important for us to have the signal chain in the recording process be, as analog as possible, as close to the style of those vintage recordings. And then in that space, we're expressing, our own musical identities just in a format that we feel is almost lost to time.
And then in sound and tracks like Greed and then Casino, it definitely hits hard with this like gritty classic rock energy, while there's other tracks like Purple Mountain, Majesty, and I think it's called Flow, that lean into something more spacious and cinematic. Mm-hmm. So does it intentionally build this kind of contrast into your records, or does it kind of evolve track by track?
Sort of just evolves track by track. There's definitely some consciousness of we want to make songs that sound different but are still cohesive. But the way we end up getting there kind of varies. Like one day someone will just make a song like that, and we'll just figure out where to put it into whatever we're working on.
Yeah. Another thing I love is the guitar solos. They're really great. On music for the guitars, they do some serious storytelling, from like fiery solos to like kind of like the gentle bluesy psych riffs that speak without words. So how do you approach using the guitar as like an emotional voice, and what does it allow you to express that lyrics can't sometimes?
The guitar is more in tune to, my emotions than any other part of the music. Like that's typically where I start first, and I can just express a lot more through notes and sounds than I can through words sometimes, and I think that's what comes out.
We all started as instrumentalists, and so our primary emotional tool in this project is our guitars and instruments, and oftentimes the tone they set informs how we write the rest of the song, right? What words we think are appropriate with it, and that all comes from what our instruments are telling us.
Some of the solos reminded me a bit of, I don't know if you know the song Maggot Brain by Psychedelic, when they have that, like, without there being any words, you can feel so much passion behind that. It's like one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard. So, yeah.
Well, that's cool. Thank you.
Yeah. So across the debut album, I mean, even with Revolver as well, there's a reoccurring presence of women. So they're sometimes spiritual, they're sometimes dangerous, they're sometimes redemptive. So what do these figures represent to you in songwriting, and why do you find yourself drawn towards it?
Honestly, it depends on the song. I mean, sometimes we've written songs as easy as, about our girlfriends, like very simple lyrics, just kind of about a loving partner. Or we have another song coming up on our soon to be released album that's more of a love song style lyricism. But I feel that we've just kind of taken that classic rock starting point. Like you look at Led Zeppelin, the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, they were all writing about these women. And it's like, that's great. You can write about a woman all you want, but we almost like to tell these folklore stories with them. Like the song Devil Woman is about this temptress woman that will, treat you to sin. or Monique is about this mystical figure, almost a siren-like creature. It's easy to pick a point and start writing a crazy story around that single point. I think that's how we write a lot of our songs. And it's funny enough, they all kind of end up being about women, which is not fully intentional. It's just an easy starting point, and we've gotten really good at telling these stories with these almost folklore type characters.
I mean, that was the kind of, you already kind of answered the next question. I was going to say a lot of the songs feel incredibly visual, like Monique and also Purple Mountain Majesty. Also what they say as well. So I was going to ask, like, is cinema a big influence for you guys when you're writing some of these songs?
It was for what they say.
Okay.
Yeah, Ryder, I think you were closer to that process if you want to talk about that.
What they say was, for sure, there's a movie called Falling Down, and the lyrics, they sort of go along with the overall arc of that movie. What they say is like the main song right now that kind of follows cinema. I actually don't find myself watching as many movies as I would like, so I'm not as influenced by it, but what they say for sure.
Yeah. I think generalized storytelling has been important, at least for me, in the way that I approach concepts that I want to write about. We have a song on our next album called Next Time, which is about a bunch of cowboys that, I kind of came up with the concept of that after I watched Fistful of Dollars. I want to be able to tell these stories that's, more fictionalized, more, folklore, go in directions that maybe you wouldn't expect, right? Like, we started Devil Woman with a title and a riff, and I thought that maybe some sort of spectral figure, some sort of otherworldly figure could be more interesting and more engaging than a woman that treats you bad.
Yeah, I love Devil Woman, also one of my favorites. But there's also a bit of you also see reoccurring that kind of like Western theme in a few songs as well, like that kind of ominous, dangerous undertone, which is, I'm always a fan of that. But yeah. In regards to your creative process, do you guys have like any go-to gear or particular pedals or even approaches that help you capture your like signature Velvet Daydream sound?
Well, the signature sound, we're missing our other guitar player, Caden, but he's always playing a Vox AC30. That's his main thing, and his tone is a little twangier than mine. That's kind of how you can spot him. He usually plays a Telecaster as well. It kind of goes with that twang. I usually am playing some sort of Marshall amp, or in the studio, I also play this it's called a Gibson Invader. It's a 60s little Gibson combo amp, and you turn that thing up, you get the crunch. So that's what I'm usually using, and got some pedals, Tube Screamer. I use an Echoplex delay all the time. Jude has his own things too.
Yeah, usually I have a Fender P bass of some variety through a custom BA 215, and I've been experimenting with, even take for example this thing. It's a 64 Vox Essex through like a hollow body setup with more tone. Gives a really nice, more vintage sound. And yeah, Nick?
Honestly, mine can be the most differing depending on the song or the album. Through our recordings that we've released and soon to be released, I have used multiple different drum sets. The thing I like to keep the same in all of those songs is my cymbals. I use all Sabian brand cymbals. I have a Sabian B8 ride cymbal that's very iconic. If you listen to any of our songs, you can always hear it. It's kind of become part of our sound. But I'd say the main thing for me is like how I play the drums. I mean, I try to put a lot of force and energy into them depending on how much the song needs. And I think that can exponentially change the sound of the instrument and the recording for the song.
And I know Love came out, I think it was earlier this year, and definitely has real momentum from the moment the song starts. It just like takes off. Mm-hmm. But you've already answered this as well. I was going to ask, was this a standalone single or should fans expect a new EP or album? But I'm guessing Love is going to be on an upcoming album?
Yes. Yeah, okay. Our next album, Smoke and Mirrors, will be out March 28th. And
very nice.
Will feature Love, yes.
Okay, that's exciting. I know it's a bit of a cliche question, but I just feel like your fans probably want to hear. What do you feel has changed most for you as artists between, your debut album to now? It can be creatively or even personally.
I mean, our debut album was right when we just graduated high school. So I think we've gotten better at our instruments, better at singing. We've become better songwriters. I think our songs are more interesting. We've also put a lot of time into researching, how to use a studio a lot more. I think we're really proud of the way Love sounds. I think our first album was a good bottom floor, and I think Love, it really encapsulates how we wanted that song to feel. So yeah, that's what I would say is our biggest strides.
Yeah.
I think as far as to an outside listener's perspective, I would definitely say the talent has grown exponentially. I think we're all better players. We're better at playing, with each other in a studio setting. We're better singers. We're harder on ourselves about getting the right take, for better or for worse, right? I mean, it can be hours of singing the same line until it's right. I mean, you guys can attest to that. We've spent 6 hours singing the same line just to get it right. A lot more perfectionism. I feel our first album, we didn't really know where to stop. We just kind of would hit a point where the song was complete but wasn't finished. You know what I mean? It was there, but it wasn't exactly what we wanted. And now we strive a lot more for perfection on everything.
And I think our chemistry has, radically changed since that album, right? I was in this band for 4 months when we finished recording our first album. It's been, 2.5 years. We've gotten to know each other and our songwriting and our purpose and the way that we interact with each other way better. And yeah, there's perfectionism in the studio, but it's also an easier process for us now because we're used to the studio environment. For all of us, that was our first time in a studio when we finished that album. And now, having gone through the singles process and really taking our time with the second album, we feel like a different unit. We feel well-oiled, and man, I mean, we have our process now. I think it's gonna feel a lot different on this next album, and we're really proud of the way it came out.
Mm-hmm.
And overall, what's next on the agenda for you for 2026? So I know the album's coming out, but do you guys have any shows? Are you touring? Just so people are aware.
This next week, we're gonna be up in Nashville, Tallahassee, Atlanta, New Orleans, etc. And we plan to, book the rest of our year out like that. We're trying to get to every different corner of the United States, most places in between. We really want to get to a lot of places that we've never been, but, people have been wanting us to go. We're writing a lot of new music as well. What's fun is we have this new album out, but if you go see us live, we're already playing songs that are beyond the second album. We have a lot of fun doing that and testing things. That's where we're going. We're just going to be out and about.
And when can we expect you guys in Europe?
Hopefully within a year. That's a really big goal for us. I think the main thing, we had a company reach out to us. The main thing was just the money to get there and make it happen. But I can't give you a hard date, but hopefully within a year or two.
Yeah, it's a really big stretch goal for us. I've been to Europe once before, and seeing the scene, seeing the cities, that would be a real treat for us to get out there. So keep it on the radar. But year and a half, 2 years maybe.
They would love you here in Berlin, 100%. When you guys get here, they will be excited. They will.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. But yeah, I think those are the main questions I had for you guys. But are there any final words that you would like to leave with the listeners and your fans?
Thank you all for listening. We wouldn't be able to do any of this without, the people who support us and listen to us, you included. Or thank you for having us on. Yeah, just thank you all and rock and roll.